Welcome to Buy, Sell, Hold. I'm Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market, and I will be your host today. With me is collector car expert Philip Richter. Hello, Philip.
Hey, Keith, how are you?
I am well, and we're going to talk about an exciting Mercedes. Maybe not the fastest Mercedes, but certainly a beautiful one. Today's car is the 190 SL.
Keith, the 190 SL is a cute little car, but that is kind of where it stops for me. I always think about it as a weak sister to the 300 SL. I also had the opportunity to have some seat time in a 190 SL, and they're sort of like riding a John Deere riding mower. There's not a lot of passion there. The gearbox is clunky. The driving position is uncomfortable. Obviously, it's a car from the 50s, so it doesn't differentiate itself that much from most other cars from that era. But it's just not a passionate car. It doesn't look exciting. It's cute. It's a cute car, and I think that's where it stops.
Would you describe it as jewelry?
No, I wouldn't describe it as jewelry because it doesn't really have a wow factor that brings your eye to that piece of jewelry. It's just sort of average to me, and also I'm saying that because I'm thinking when I see one, I think, wow, a 300 SL was really beautiful. This car is much less so.
So Philip, the engine in the 190 SL, the 1.9 liter four-cylinder, it's 2/3 the engine of the 300 SL. Does that make the 190 SL 2/3 a car of the 300 SL?
I would say if we're going to talk about fractions, I'd say, and not to be too hard on the 190 SL, I understand what it is and the market it tried to capture and did capture and actually still is capturing. I just sort of think it's half the car of the iconic 300 SL. It's an affordable version. I guess it's today's version of an SLK versus a full-blown, SL.
Where does the 190 SL sit in the market today? Does anyone care?
I think people do care. I think the 190 SL has had a pretty strong following because it's an affordable car. It has that look, and it's a convertible. So it has kind of that holy trinity of being a Mercedes, being related to the 300 SL, and from a far glance, the average non-car person might mistake it as such. And it's a convertible.
So those cars can be tremendously expensive to restore. At the peak, they hit $250,000. Where do you see them today?
They're kind of all over the board. I mean, it's everything with these cars, just like the Mercedes 3.5, the 280 SE 3.5, because of the restoration cost issue you highlighted. One that's rough actually is going to be cheap because people know that to get it right is so expensive. These cars are trading kind of in the 100 to 140 range. Really good ones can top that, but they've got to be, it's got to be like Paul Russell has had to have his hands on it, or somebody of that quality to make it over 150,000.
If you were going to recommend to one of your friends that they buy a 190 SL, how would you describe that friend?
Look, I don't want to be too hard on the 190 SL because it is a Mercedes. It is from the 50s. It has a lot. It checks a lot of boxes. It has a lot going for it. It's just when I drove one, the only adjective I could think of is it was emaciated. It couldn't get out of its own way. And I had actually more fun driving my, John Deere riding mower than that car. So I would say, the average person who wants to buy a 190 SL is not necessarily someone who's not sophisticated. It's not necessarily someone who doesn't understand what they're doing or hasn't done their homework. It's someone who wants the experience of ownership of a classic vintage Mercedes-Benz that's an open car. And I don't begrudge anyone for wanting that. That's a fundamental need of German motor enthusiasts. but it's certainly not a car that is on my list to put in my garage.
So, Philip, let's give us your thoughts on this car and the market. Is this a car that people are clamoring to buy? Is this a car that people are just sticking away in the garage? Or is this a car that people are lining up to sell? Is it a buy, sell, or hold?
So let me dissect that question because there's a lot going on there. I personally think it's a sell for the reasons I outlined, and also I just don't see it. Given the restoration costs and the swagger factor, I don't see one being worth $150,000 even on a good day. So if you gave me the best example, Paul Russell restored, I'm not going to pay more than, $130 for that car, and that's not market. It's going to be worth more than that. But I don't think it's personally worth that much. At the other side of the coin, though, there is an active market for the 190 SL. You can see on various, you go look through RM's past auctions, Gooding's past auctions, even Bring a Trailer has had a lot of activity in 190 SLs. People want them. I'd say they have half of the je ne sais quoi of a 300 SL, but that's still pretty damn good, right? Like you're starting at a very high bar and bringing it down to 50% of a 300 SL. That's still better than your average car.
So Philip Richter on the 190 SL in this week's Buy, Sell, Hold gives the car a sell. Thank you very much, Philip. That wraps up this episode. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Keith.